Hello everyone! Welcome to DW Randomizer. Tonight we are kicking off our coverage of potentially hundreds of head-to-head races as we begin the Summer 2022 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. The Summer Tournament is played with standard flags, and this year's format is divided into 3 stages. All players have the option to compete in 5 random seeds asynchronously to determine seeding for the group stage. In the group stage, beginning today, a head-to-head round-robin event will occur within every group, which has 7 or 8 runners each, and the top 3 runners from every group will then advance to the third and final stage, where a traditional bracket-style elimination contest will determine this year's tournament champion. Racing tonight from the Magidrakee group, it's Marashu versus Gambit017. Each runner enters this matchup with a clean sheet, 0 wins and 0 losses, so we'll see what happens tonight. Special thanks to our restreamer, MathGirl718. Our tracker tonight is Randomizer, and joining me for some awesome commentary tonight is our former tournament champion, DK9146. How's it going?
Doing great up to NG. Very well said. Very excited to get this really going. You know, we did that async, as you said, but this is the meat and potatoes. We're getting into some live races here. It's going to be a really exciting month.
Yeah. It's always fun to see these head-to-head matchups as it shakes out, and every seed is wildly different. Right now, we're at level 1. We can see on our tracker, it sounds like we're not going to be starting with any spells, but we have decent strength starting off, so they should be making progress pretty quickly.
Yeah, buddy, and they're going to pick up a torch and a dragon scale to go with that key in the back.
Yeah, we have torches can be used to do a little bit of damage to enemies, but again, with decent strength, they'll probably just save that torch to maybe light up a cave.
Yeah, 19 strength, I don't foresee much issue, but you know, you never know what the enemies are going to be packing, as it looks like we're in a desertous area with a cave.
Interesting that Gammon doesn't care much what that cave is, but Marashu takes a peek.
Both runners going to validate the entire tournament. Checking that Sparko Bridge right away.
Oh man, it wasn't the item. Darn. Well, pretty fun start there as Marashu doing some chip damage here to a Magician to try to get level 2 straight away. Gambit gets the 1 experience off the slime, finding many slimes here in the primary zone. Looks like the castle is situated kind of like right in the middle of a zone. The easy zone has the easiest enemies in the game, up to Scorpion. Magician does have the hurt spell, but probably not too dangerous.
Yeah, and with how many attacks Marashu had to do, it seems like it must not be very frequent. A modest gain there, 4613 with Repel at level 2.
And so the 1 bit of equipment they have is that dragon scale. They both remembered to don the scale, so that gives them 2 additional defense points. You can see they have 12 defense. The rest comes from half of your agility score. So as they get the response speed on each level up, as that improves, so too does their defense. And oh, we have some good spells.
Yeah, along with that good spell, a 24 MP gain. So they're going to have a lot of use of that good spell and our first town on screen.
Yep, Marashu does the right thing to go try to explore some more difficult zones as soon as he sees the hurt more. Manages to get a Droll in his travels for level 4, and we're going to check out the town as he is out of MP now. The Hurtmore spell costs 5 MP to cast, and he has Healmore now as well, so potentially things are picking up here as Rimmeldar is a great town to find early.
Hurtmore, some MP to use it with, easy ability to get money. They're going to have keys really quick, so we'll see several checks coming up here very soon.
Oh, check this out, DK. So he decides to use the money on the inn, and now he doesn't have enough money to buy the keys, but that's kind of interesting, because you just got Hurtmore. Maybe there's no rush, like you can go and accumulate money pretty quickly with some higher value victories here, and then you can just pop back into the town to buy more keys, maybe.
Absolutely, it's 1 screen east. There's no concern at all that Wraith's going to give him enough right there for a level and a key.
Yeah, so I kind of like that decision. Just take your time, maybe accumulate enough for 4 keys or more so you can, check the double door in the town right away and go back home, open the treasury, and you're not worried about running out of keys. And so, yeah, he's just doing what he can to hurt more as many of these wolves and wraiths and all that as possible. because, yeah, we have pretty good MP for these lower levels. That's multiple Hurtmores. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty quick situation here.
Yeah, and another 13 gain there. This seed's being very generous so far, for sure. They picked up Repel, which will definitely be nice for getting rid of those low-level enemies while they walk around.
Finally, Gambit checking out the cave. It's the Rainbow Drop Cave, where you get to turn in all your quest items at the end to have access to the final castle. I guess it's a good time to mention what the standard flags actually means, DK. So we have certain things are randomized and other things not so much. So all the enemies kind of are about as difficult as you'd expect from the vanilla game, the Red Dragon being the most difficult, Slime is the least difficult. The stats are basically set from what you could remember, but they do have random abilities that they'll throw at you. And what else is randomized here? Obviously, the map is new every time, so a big part of the game here is to explore and try and find everything.
Yeah, maps randomized, so the locations within that map are randomized. We have random locations for our key items. We obviously will have the harp, the stones, and the token accessible in the overworld, but the armor and the sword could be anywhere, including in Sherlock.
Yeah, so with standard flags, we will have to acquire the Rainbow Drop the old-fashioned way in order to acquire access to the castle. With other flag sets, you can just walk right into the castle, no problem, and items not required. So yeah, we'll have to get those 3 items that you mentioned. They could be in chests or on the various search spots in Hawksness or on the overworld or in Cole. Speaking of which, here's a town, but it's Breckenary in the swamp. So there's a shop here, maybe upgrade some equipment, but yeah, they got some really good spells. It's one of those situations you don't care too much about your equipment here.
Yeah, and we're going to get a treasury check on the left there. We got the Erdrick Sword in the bottom left. That is not a door. What is our chest 3? We have another Cursed Belt. And finally, finishing with the armor. Stacked treasury.
Yeah, we were talking about, hey, it's not too much of an emergency to go, get keys to open doors, but that is a very nice door to open. There won't be actually much need for gold, as we don't have a gold grind per se. But, we have as much gear as you could want. The large shield usually is enough to finish a seed. That'll cost you 800 gold at a shop. Those prices are not randomized in standard flags. Silver shield, unless there is a potential gold grind in the basement, which nobody's checked yet. Silver shield would be too expensive and they just won't bother with it. Yeah, this is kind of turning into a jet seed here. Got some really good gear and really good spells. Cave off to the west is one of our trading caves. So we know where the castle is and both trade-in caves. So end game is all set. Don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, we got all the spells we really need. We would like to see some hit points. Hit points is definitely lagging. We got Marashu finally going around to pick up some keys, so he should hopefully join Gambit with the same amount of gear here shortly.
Yeah, even though you have Hurtmore, it is useful to have a decent weapon as well, because there is a handful of enemies, as you know, that are worth a lot of experience, but the Hurtmore may or may not one-shot them, such as the Axe Knight, the Green Dragon, and such. And if you can just, follow up with an attack that actually does 10 or 15 damage, you can be confident that you can get it with an attack instead of having to use additional magic. Magidrakee here would be a great target for Hurtmore, but he was out of MP there, so unfortunately he's getting sent home by the Magidrakee.
Yeah, and that armor almost came through for him. It held him on for a second attack. He did 42 damage, so could have took it out, just didn't quite get there.
Yep, as is true in the original game, enemies have a range of possible hit points every time they spawn, so there's a maximum that is known, and then they could have as little as 75% of their maximum when they start the fight. So that particular Magidrakee had high HP, so it didn't work out that time, but yeah, the Death Warp isn't really too big of a deal here. All you do is you end up back at the castle, and you lose half your gold for the privilege of the king reviving you, with full experience earned, and it's just a little bit of a time loss sometimes if you're way out on the map and you didn't really want to go home, so you have to start your walking over from the castle. But that's basically the only penalty that exists for dying in this game. Sometimes people will die intentionally in order to set up a gold grind, or in other words, warp back to the castle, quote unquote, for free. So that's how that works in Dragon Warrior.
Absolutely. And we did see Gambit get level 7 there, not helping in the HP department at all with a stat gain of 5, 0, 0, and 8.
It's quite a big swamp that he's walking through, but one of the many features of the Erdrick's armor that he picked up is that he does not take damage while walking through those swamp tiles, so kind of nice that he has that equipment early. He also gets heal walking, so he took a little bit of damage from that fight, and every step that he takes regains 1 hit point, so he doesn't have to worry about casting that expensive heal more after battle every time if he doesn't want to. So very nice to have the armor. Marashu has not gone and made that check yet, so he's dealing with a little bit of a what's the opposite of an advantage, right? Disadvantage. That's the word.
I like it. No, exactly. And yeah, as we can see, we got Gambit walking through swamp. He's got a cave there. He's got a town there. He didn't quite make it, but he knows their existence. It's kind of surprising Marashu got access to this key so early and just has not took any of those checks yet.
Yeah, Gambit is just a handful of points away from acquiring level 8, and so we're going to start keeping an eye on our tracker. The colors will change on the statistics as we get closer and closer to being ready for the Dragon Lord. Right now they have reasonable strength for the level that they're at. Very good MP, actually. But as you mentioned before, we're going to want a lot more hit points before we're ready to take on the Dragon Lord. So we'll see. I guess Marashu leapfrogged him there, and now he has level 8, and we did acquire some small stat gains, but nothing too great on that particular level up.
Nah, 2, 3, 1, 4 across. Yeah, he took down an Axe Knight to jump over, and we'll see that back and forth more than likely with this hurt more and enemies available. But the big thing is, I've just put out the math here up to NG. Based on our current HP gain, we're going to need level 77 in order to have that 97 HP to go face that Dragon Lord.
Yeah, that would be a very long race indeed, but fortunately that is unlikely to happen as the game caps out at level 30, and the randomizer is configured to, on average, we'll be wrapping up at around level 16, which is the point at which we're guaranteed to learn all the spells with standard flags. Could be a little earlier or a little later than that, so we'll have to keep an eye on how those stats progress. But yeah, HP clearly lagging behind, and that will result in some overworld deaths, even though they're otherwise quite powerful. So we'll have to see if they are able to remember to keep themselves topped off. And again, having the Erdrick's armor is helping tremendously because he gets the heal walking.
Yep, and now we see Marashu finally getting in there, going to find out what was hiding here this entire time that he's had access for quite a while, but at least he isn't too far behind, honestly, and he's ahead on experience, so looks like we're going to finally get a check in the basement.
Yeah, so, and it would be a little bit interesting because there's a way that you could back into a gold grind. I don't think that they even care much about a silver shield. Oh, we saw before it's an herb back here. So yeah, no gold grind available in the seed.
I forgot about that, that's correct.
Yep. And, just 3 points away from the level. Gambit, unfortunate werewolf encounter. Werewolf, one of the stronger enemies. You see those in Charlotte Castle, so. Next victory will likely get level 8 for Gambit to match him up with Marashu. So it's hard to figure out who is kind of doing better on the exploration front. They've both gone several directions here. We've seen pretty much the same locations on both sides now, right? Oh, now we have Swamp Cave for Gambit, so that's new.
Yeah, that was that cave off to the southeast. We'll see Marashu heading towards that here in a moment on his screen, and that'll even them up on knowledge, I believe.
Yeah, and one of the options here is that there is always a respawnable boss that guards the princess in Swamp Cave. And if there's something like an Axe Knight or a Green Dragon, you may want to sit here and grind a few levels to try and get those hit points up. Or you could take the opportunity to rescue the princess preemptively. So there's some options here. The other thing you could do is just go out through the other side, see if it leads to the back door of Garenham, or just out to a second continent, or in some cases, to some other place on the first continent.
Yep, exactly. So, and I would really like to see what the spike tile is, based on HP still being a little low, there is a non-zero chance we'll have to do some grinding at some point. It looks like Gambit's about to check for us.
Yeah, Gambit just went down to 1 HP and does not bother to heal after battle, so playing it pretty dangerously here. Now he goes in and goes with the heal more. It does sometimes feel a little silly to cast heal more when you're only healing like 20 points, but it would be a good idea to heal when you're at 1 hit point usually. Golem, unfortunately, is one of the enemies that doesn't care about your hurt more attack, and they hit really hard. So that's an enemy that they probably can't realistically beat for a while with the low hit points that they have.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Especially not without a fairy flute and a prayer. But we did see Murashu find the tablet cave, which had a fighter's ring at the end.
I'm using that outside spell nicely to save half the trip. It's like 25 seconds each way, so takes advantage of that. 6 MP to cast outside. Fighter's ring, once you actually put it on within your inventory list there, will give you 2 additional offensive power. So you can see on the tracker he has 92 attack power, whereas Gambit has 90. They're going to want somewhere in the realm of maybe 130 plus to be able to beat the Dragon Lord. Any attack power beyond 100 and you can actually start to damage the Dragon Lord, and it just improves from there. So they're not close yet to any of that, but they'll continue to gain naturally as they explore the world here.
Yeah, and to answer a question in chat, will there always be 2 continents? And no, that is not correct. There can be a giant single continent where Swamp Cave just leads you to a completely different part of the continent. Occasionally, it could lead you right next door. 2 caves could be right next to each other, and it could be either end of Swamp Cave, which has happened once, I believe.
Yep. And as we mentioned before, they can sometimes lead to the back door of Garanham or the back of Tentacle Castle, which may or may not, in the case of Garanham, it may or may not exist on the first or second continent. So there are several possibilities with that Swamp Cave. I'm not sure if he ever went through. Did he go through? I saw him fighting a bunch of werewolves in there, and I'm not sure if he went out the other side or not, but...
Yeah, I saw the werewolves as well. Don't know which direction he went from there. So we'll find out. We're finding a lot of empty overworld now because of so many locations near the start.
I like that he did check that spike tile, though, because, like we said, if you can get a quick hurt more grind going there early in a seed, sometimes it's really helpful. You boost up your stats, you end up repelling a lot more monsters later in the game, that kind of thing, so... Speaking of which, we had a metal slime encounter there for Gambit, which tells me he has not been taking advantage of the repel spell. Something that typically you want to do when you have hurt more, because you don't necessarily want to keep running into the really small enemies throughout the map, like the slime here. It just takes a little bit of extra time to complete the encounter. But everybody has their own ideas of when and how to use certain spells, so... I know that there are some really good runners that don't use the repel spell very often either, so...
Yeah, I was going to say, that guy must watch a lot of Angel FM out there with the lack of repel.
Exactly.
But that metal slime came with his own form of hurt more there, and that's what ultimately killed him there. So we did get level 9 over on Murashu's side, coming in at 7, 10, 2, and 1, so the HP still lagging behind.
Yeah, the one of the many benefits of Erdrick's armor is it does reduce the damage that you take from an enemy's hurt more spell. It starts off at something like 30 to 45, and it gets reduced to 20 to 30. But even so, again, we're dealing with the very low HP situation, so that was enough to take him down in that case. And metal slimes are actually pretty difficult to run away from because they have such good agility. So if you do run into them out on the overworld and you know that they have some dangerous spell, it's sometimes not really an enemy that you want to see, but they are easily repellable, so that's an option.
Absolutely, and thanks for the raid, Soapbox Gamer. Appreciate that. Come join us watching the very beginning of our group stages of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer 2022 tournament. While we have Murashu found Garanham, I missed 2 of the 3 chests, and he is in Mountain now.
I missed them as well, so we'll leave it to chat to update us on that, but the tracker doesn't show any quest items on either runner, in fact, so that's starting to become the exploration task right now, is to where in the world are these quest items that we're going to need to get to the end of the seed here. So the Silver Harp, Stones of Sunlight, and the Erdrick's Token, those are the top 3 icons on the tracker screen there, and they are currently empty.
Yep, I saw the Death Necklace get picked up there, and that was it. So we'll see what happens here. He's downstairs into Mountain 2 now.
Another dead end north edge of the map for Gambit, so he turns around, backtracking along this land bridge here. And yeah, more chests being opened, so there's some gold from Marashu. Okay. Cursed Belt, I think that's at least 2 Cursed Belts now that we've seen.
That's all 3, because there was 2 in the treasury.
Yes, that gives good information to our runners that are paying attention. I guess you could explain better than me how that works.
Yeah, so if we find a Cursed Belt, that means one of our search tiles will have one of our items on it. It can be any of the 7 items, including Fairy Flute, Death Necklace, Harp, Stones, Token, or either piece of Erdrick's gear, the sword, and the armor. With us already having the Death Necklace, the Erdrick's armor, the Erdrick's sword, we know it's one of those other 4 items. And with 3 Cursed Belts found, we know we're going to have coordinates. We're going to have an item in Coal and something below a spike in Hoxus.
Yeah, so basically, if Marashu, for example, finds the Fairy Flute in one of these next few checks, then he can, let's say, skip a dungeon entirely, because all of the quest items will be on search spots at that point. So it's one of those things. It doesn't really come up often, but sometimes it can save you a huge amount of time where you know that there's nothing in a dungeon and you don't even have to explore it.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, this is extremely valuable information, and I would expect if he's picked up on that, he should definitely be prioritizing those 3 towns at this point.
Yeah, he does find another town, but it's Garanham. I'm not sure if we saw this before, but there's a back door here that leads to 3 additional treasure chests and an additional cave in the back staircase. So, pretty good find for Marashu here.
No, yeah, Garanham's where Mountain was in the basement. We just completely missed the pickup while we were looking left.
Right. Yeah, so he's just getting a refill there and heading back out onto the map. And we have Sharlock again for Gambit, so he's been kind of circling around near home, finding a few dead ends. So I feel like a little exploration luck has not quite gone his way, although the experience, he has taken the lead again with over 1,500 points, getting level 10. Up into triple digits for attack power now, and just a little bit more on the HP, but still that's the main problem.
Yeah, I'm fingers crossed, level 11, we might hit that 40 mark.
Yeah, it's just tough because some of the larger monsters, especially the ones that you are not guaranteed to land the hurt more, you want to at least be able to withstand an attack, 2 attacks, so that you can heal in between. If you were to, try and melee down a blue dragon or even a wizard at this point, it might be dangerous with less than 40 hit points. Regardless of the fact that the Erdrick's armor does provide quite a bit of a defensive boost, less than 40 hit points often is just dangerous. So, Marashu has the large shield, so he has even a bit more defense to work with, so he'll take slightly less damage from big monsters, but like this golem could still one-shot him, and they won't be going in there anytime soon.
Exactly, and you know what else will one-shot him? A wolf that breathes DL2.
That's right, DL2, even though it's reduced by the Erdrick's armor, another benefit of Erdrick's armor, it still will do 42 to 48 damage, and they don't have that many hit points yet, so you don't want to be taking Dragon Lord Breath to the face right now while you're exploring the overworld. And so yeah, we're seeing a handful of additional deaths. You can see on the screen there, we're running with the standard flags. We're running with death counter on. That's one of the new features in the randomizer. So that lowest number on the status screen when they stop moving every time, it says the letter D. That shows that Gambit, for example, has 9 deaths so far, and Marashu with 6.
Yeah, it's a really good quality of life addition for both the trackers and the viewers out there, so you can get a quick glance at how many deaths there are and be accurate, because every once in a while we'd have a tracker miss. But we do see Gambit picking up his fighter's ring.
Yep, and that's one of the items that you have to manually go in and use in order to get the benefit. It doesn't auto-equip like all the other equipment that you buy or find in Dragon Warrior 1, unlike all of the other Dragon Warriors where you have to do some sort of equipment menuing.
Exactly. So, man, we're going to see a little bit of exploration. I think we see Marashu really pushing out. I think he has a good feeling about knowing those 3 towns are in play at this point based on his curse belt count, and is really trying to locate where they're at.
Yeah, he's taking a really long walk directly south here. It's, I guess the castle must have been near the north edge of the map, and he's been just walking south for days here. And with the decent equipment and the repel spell active, he's able to cover large chunks of the map without getting interrupted by those small enemies. Now, here's one of those examples. He got ambushed by the green dragon, so if this doesn't one-shot him, fortunately for him it does, but, you know, you're getting sent back to the castle there. So it's the HP causes all those awkward moments. You know, anytime you get ambushed, for example, the 45 agility isn't great right now, so you're going to get a little bit more frequent ambush from the large monsters right now. But he's making a really nice long walk here.
Yeah, whether he finds anything or not, he's getting a lot of real estate covered here, and will have narrowed down his search across the world here as he finally catches up to Gambit at level 10.
Yep, lead's been flip-flopping a few times. Nothing too earth-shattering. They're both making progress, so mainly it'll come down to who finds the quest items faster so that they can get into some kind of dedicated grind before their opponent. All this experience is just kind of keeping up with each other. We can't read too much into a 100 or 200 point lead at any moment here. And so, yeah, mainly it looks like, I would say Marashu's got, you know, obviously the equipment lead, having found that large shield, but the quest items are just still out there. Probably, like you said, perhaps all 3 of them are going to be on the search spots. So we got to find the 3 important towns here.
Absolutely, and both runners almost in the exact same spot right now. One on either side of that little bit of a lake there.
Always nice to find these large swamps and know that you don't have to worry about it. Erdrick's armor just gliding over the top of the swamp here. Yeah, a lot of nice, easy things have gone their way, with the sword and the armor being right in the treasury at home, and the town of Rimaldar being 1 screen away. And they had Hurtmore, I believe, on level 3, and they even started with decent strength. So by all accounts, this is a jet seed, except for that pesky little HP stat, which is sending them home on occasion. Like the Stone Man here just has a lot of hit points, and it's hard to withstand 2 attacks from a Stone Man right now, even with the good gear.
Oh, absolutely. And without having that sleep spell in their back pocket, it's not an enemy that's going to be easy to get away from, even with 51 agility.
Yeah, I think he was maybe trying to fight that Stone Man with heal more strats, but you have to be able to take 2 attacks in order to heal in between. But regardless, yeah, he's back at the castle. Marashu has covered quite a lot of ground. He seems to be repelling a lot more often than Gambit. Gambit not bothering with the repel spell, taking swings at magicians. Problem with that is it takes a little bit of time every time you enter that encounter and complete it. And it really doesn't give a lot of experience or gold at this point of the race.
And we got Grave on the right here. I didn't see exactly where we found it, but we got the token.
Oh, that's super interesting that one of the items was not in a search spot. It was in a chest. But does that mean now that he could get out of here if he was keeping careful count of cursed belts?
Absolutely. Now we are guaranteed to have the harp and the stones and the fairy flute on our 3 search tiles.
Yes, we are, but he maybe lost track of how many cursed belts he has seen, and so he's continuing to dive through the cave here, and we know that there will be nothing of consequence in the remaining chests. He even already found the fighter's ring, so yeah, there's just nothing. There's going to be herbs or torches or that sort of thing in these chests.
Yeah, and I'm quite surprised he's opted to do this in the dark versus using that radiant spell. I mean, it looks like he's got a good method down. It can be a little tricky in Deep Grave, especially. So I guess maybe he wants to show off them skills. He's doing a pretty good job of it right now, for sure.
Oh yeah, dark navigating has become a staple of the frequent runners of this game, and so he seems to be getting through there quite well without any light source. The other thing I was thinking in the back of my mind, one reason you would clear out a cave is maybe to set up a gold grind, but he knows already that there's no gold grind available either. So there's no reason to death warp out of this cave or anything like that. Yeah, he's just completing the cave, and then he'll probably use the outside spell to just continue forward.
Yeah, and the sad thing for him is there is literally nothing of value he can find in here either, just because we've already found that fighter's ring. I'm just trying to think of like side items he could find, but we've already got everything that he could possibly want.
Yeah, so the critical, as we keep mentioning the search spots, I think you mentioned already. So the town of Cole has one just sitting in the ground for free. Cantlin you have to have keys, and you got to open up a door and talk to a certain NPC. He'll give you coordinates that you can track down on the world map, and there'll be an item just sitting there where the old man says it is. And the third item is behind a guardian in the town of Hawksness. The guardian could be one of, I think, 7 Charlock monsters right now, from Green Dragon up through Red Dragon.
Yeah, exactly, and we've seen a lot of trolley spike tile enemies here lately. So he finally had to go Radiant. He got a little looped up on this diamond floor.
Well, at least he had the spell in his back pocket there. Wraith Knight trying to give him the business a little bit, but takes that down with a Hurt More spell. He's going to use the Heal Walking to get to the last chest. We have the left side of the map here for Gambit. Not sure if Marashu made it this far on the map before. But, yeah, who is going to get to these 3 towns? It's Hawksness, Cole, and Cantlin.
And that might be one of them.
Depending on what's in Hawksness, they may not be able to get to that item right away with the low hit points. So they do need to get some experience so that, that particular quest item will be a bit easier to acquire.
Yeah, we got Cole over here on Marashu's side. It does have the harp, so we have the second of those quest items in tow for him.
Yeah, and he saw the harp trading cave, I believe. It was just a little bit west of Start. So he can trade that in at his leisure. Probably is going to want to continue finding the other quest item first and then trade them all in.
Yeah, exactly. And I did want to point out, while we were watching him doing all this diving, Gambit did get level 11, which came with another whopping 0 HP. So we are still stuck at 39 HP at level 11.
Kind of an interesting decision coming up for Marashu. Let's just say, for example, that Hawksness and Cantlin are both right next to each other. You could end up not being able to defeat the enemy at Hawksness, but also if you want to go track down the coordinates, that could be a lengthy process, right? So then only one of them is going to have the item you need, the other one's going to have the flute. So do you go through the trouble to get let's say it's really bad coordinates and it's going to take a long time, or do you just, maybe do some grinding so that you can fight the fight in Hawksness? That could be interesting. But here is Cantlin.
I think I might have to agree with either Math Girl or the grind. Maybe give Hawksness a try. If it's anything defeatable, obviously. If it's a Red Dragon and or a Golem, you're not taking it on at this level whatsoever. Everything else we could get some lucky Hurt More options out there on and maybe take it down. But otherwise, yeah, I might. It just depends on what the chords are. If they're going to be easily countable here, and we'll find out in a moment, I might take a chance on just getting that and not have to deal with the Hawks grind right away. I don't know. We'll find out in a moment.
Yep, here we go. He doesn't even take damage on the barrier tiles, just walks straight in, and those are fairly easy coordinates, I would say, DK.
I think I've messed up coordinates smaller than that before counting, but I feel we probably will not see the princess tonight.
All right, survey says, is it the item or the flute? This will determine a lot of what happens for the rest of the race here. Aha! So the race is not over yet. I would say Marashu has a solid lead in the race, but we do have to get over to Hawksness and defeat a bad guy of some sort. So, not over yet. Gambit's got some catching up to do, though.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we got Gambit. He seems to be heading towards that direction we kind of seen Marashu coming back from. So it looks like he might start coming across some of those locations that Marashu has found and cleared at this point.
Yeah, Gambit once again with the experience lead. It's increased to about 500 points now, but again, it's much more important in a seed like this to find the items first, because you can accumulate experience much more rapidly when you're not looking around for things. So I would still put Mirashu in the lead in the race overall, but if he keeps gaining experience more and more rapidly, that could go to Gambit's favor, especially if he gets to a level where he's able to defeat a Hawksnest Guardian first in order to get the final item.
Yeah, and it's inevitable we're going to get some hit points on a level extremely soon, and I'll assume it'll be a decent amount because the game has been free with almost everything except hit points. It's been so stingy with the hit points.
Yep, that's what we're waiting for. And Dragon Lord Breath from the Wolf. Gambit going back to the castle again. So he is definitely into the double digits on the death counter. We'll see as soon as he stops moving. And Mirashu's sitting steady at 6 deaths. And as we mentioned earlier, there's not much of a penalty per se, but it does cost you a little bit of time every time you death warp home unintentionally. So that's contributing a little bit to the exploration lead for Mirashu, that he doesn't get interrupted in his travels quite so often.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, when you're getting doubled up on deaths, you're going to have a lot of exploration issues, and that's allowed Mirashu to really push out to those really far reaches, which we've seen. We have to go a lot south to find everything at this point because we are near the top of the map.
Yeah, Mirashu, since he was back home, he went over and did the harp trade-in, so now he has the Staff of Rain, as indicated on the tracker there. Still obviously needs the Stones of Sunlight. I believe he should know where it is at this point, although he hasn't seen the town of Hawksnest yet. I think he's got a good idea that it's there. I want to say that he's full cleared all the chests now, right? Full cleared both dungeons. He did Tablet Cave, Stones Cave. So I think he knows that it's got to be in Hawksnest. He's just got to find it.
Yeah, that's right. And help refresh my memory. Have we seen the Jerky Cave yet?
Yeah, I think that was the one right next to start, right in the beginning.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh, I even have that written down in front of my face. So yeah, we have literally one location to find a unknown Hawksnest guard that's hiding our stones, and then it's complete grind and go from there.
Yeah, another death by Gambit. Seems a little frustrated, taking a breather there. The Golem, I don't know if he got ambushed there, but a Golem just hits so hard. It's, seems like a bit of frustration if I had to, read through the screen here. I certainly would be annoyed by something like that. Stoneman kind of does the same to Mirashu, though. So yeah, the hit points is the story. That's basically the only challenge they have, is just staying alive when they face a really large monster.
Yeah, exactly. So to answer another question in chat about the stat increases, the tracker, once our tracker updates the player's level, it will automatically update the rest of the stats. We have some proprietary built-in stuff in the background, thanks to Captain Nuhu, and it takes care of all of it for us. It's fantastic. As far as the runners knowing that, they can either manually track their stats as it does read it off to them every time they level up, or they can menu to check out what the total stats they have are at this time.
And Mirashu found a path kind of winding around and back to the north. It was one of those areas that could be easily missed, and there is a townway up here. So is this Hawksnest? Yeah. So that's actually, we didn't talk about it too much since the beginning, DK, but that's one of the skills you develop as a runner, is sometimes the map is actually a little bit confusing, and there can be a little path that's easy to miss if there are mountain tiles and water and different things. And there's one little way through, and if you miss it, you're in bad shape. Stoneman on the tile, though, with Hurtmore. No. Oh, he tried Hurtmore on the Stoneman. Didn't work. It's about 50-50 to land. So yeah, that could be interesting. We don't have the sleep spell yet. Stoneman notoriously vulnerable to the sleep spell. It would take 2 Hurtmores to land, and sometimes that's not even enough. And it's about 50-50 to land each one. So you could get in there, get a double Hurtmore, withstand the one attack. I mean, it can be done right now. But maybe if there's somewhere that that's a really good grind, that could be an option right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a needed item, but it's not needed right now. They're not diving Sherlock anytime soon. So at this point, figure out what your grind's going to be and go grind it. Get that sleep, hopefully some more HP along the way. You know exactly where Hawksness is. You know your turn in. You can wrap it all up later.
Along those lines, I think Murashu maybe didn't check the spike over here yet, so he's hoping, oh, I'm going to go grind some levels, but unfortunately that's a golem over here. Now, he does have the flute, but this is pretty gross, DK. Like, you can get one shot here, and you can, even if you don't get one shot, I don't know about this.
It should be interesting.
Maybe you can beat it once, but as a grind, I don't know.
Well, maybe he's hoping level 12 comes with some hope, and it really doesn't, by the way.
I mean, it is worth 350 experience, and he managed to sleep block it with the flute there, so he got the 350 and gets the level. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe that's your grind right now. That's crazy.
Well, even just the 5 extra HP he's getting here at 12 makes it less likely to get one shot. I don't think he's out of range of that yet at 68D, but it's less likely. And then just hopes for a few turns of sleep in between. But he's getting really good luck with the sleep so far.
I think he actually is out of range now. I believe it's 43 max for the golem at this stage. So if he keeps himself completely topped up, he could take one shot, put it back to sleep with the flute. You know, he can use the heal more, etc. So all of a sudden, this actually becomes doable. It just might be slow. But, he's using heal instead of heal more to try to conserve. But that's not going to get it done because you really need to get totally topped off to be able to take a punch to the face from a golem. But all right, so far he's having some luck here and some success. So he has evened up the experience lead just with those 2 victories. So you can see why the end game grind is the big equalizer when it comes to the experience, those small experience leads we get, during play.
Yeah, exactly. And Guelph asking Ken a golem 1 punch. Up to and G. He does the math. I do the guessing. He said 43 max hit right now is what he could take.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because it's the same strength as a red dragon. I know, like one of the numbers to remember is when you have 80 defense, the red dragon can hit you for 40. And so then you have the thing of, every 4 defense after that is 1 less or 1 more or whatever. So here we go. I mean, he's still managing to do the golem grind here. I would not have thought that this was a good idea, so I stand corrected. It has worked out really well for Murashu. He's got about 1,000 points just in the last couple of minutes. And 4125 is the next magic number, so if level 13 yields up, and there's the big hit to the face for 40. But if he was able to get 13 with 2 more victories, all of a sudden that might be just a breakout level. You can go get your stones from the Stone Man Guardian at Hawksness, and you're all set. You can go into Sharlock and see if there's good enemies to grind on in there. You can go back to the Golem grind. But still just needs to get that breakout level to open up his options.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm wondering if he knows of any overworld grind area that worked out. Well, he is going back and forth in that swamp for a moment.
Maybe some Axe Knights popped up or something, some green dragons. That would be decent.
Yeah, and we got Gambit that's going to get his good, bad news about the Hawksness spike tile here in a moment.
Yeah, so the slightly unfortunate thing about if this is a grind that he can remember is the swamp tiles are not as high of an encounter rate as hills and desert tiles. So if you're walking back and forth in the swamp, I believe it's just like being in the forest, 1 out of 16, right? So you'll only get half as many encounters as you would if you found a similar grind in the desert. But Gambit's going to take a look here, and it's going to see what he can do against the Stone Man. Just immediately swings at it. I think that you're going to want to try a double hurt more strat here if you're just going to go for it without the sleep spell. Because he's not going to be able to take 2 hits, is he? Let me see here. Yeah, he's on level 12, so he's got the 44 hit points. Yeah, it just hits too hard, so... Of all the spells we don't have, DK, the one left on the list there is the sleep spell, which would be really helpful right now.
And it's not coming until level 16 when we get like 55 HP, evidently.
Maybe. Yeah, that'll make the Stone Man the great barrier for completing the seed here. That's what they need. Now, Gambit still has the other items to track down, but it just so happened that he was standing there in Hawksness, took a shot at it. Unsuccessful. I'm not sure if Gambit has the Cursed Belt knowledge yet. I feel like he's just a little behind with exploration, so he may have some dungeons to clear out. So we'll see.
Yeah, and we got trying to figure out what Marashu. I think he's walking back and forth in the swamp, or is he walking through swamp? Yeah, walking back and forth in swamp must have saw something in this zone. Maybe that werewolf.
Yeah, you can often take 2 hits from a werewolf right now with decent defense. We saw the werewolf just swung at him for 13 damage. That was probably a min roll, but yeah, I think that's a decent play. So it's a little bit dodgy, so you do have to make sure you're topped off so that you can take 2 hits. But yeah, I think, what do they have, like 7 out of 64 dodge rate, which is pretty annoying. If the Hurt More doesn't one-shot him, and then you swing at him and it dodges, that's often when you die to a werewolf. But yeah, maybe that's got to be what he's looking for, because I don't remember any big monsters in here. Did the knight pop up before? I guess he would still see the knight if he's repelling with 68 defense. Mostly just the werewolf right now.
Yeah, this is what it's coming down to, is a little bit of exploration, but also figuring out what the heck to grind. This werewolf, if he does... Oh, never mind.
So it's interesting, though, because with the new tweaks to the experience, with the golem being worth 350 now, with the latest version, the werewolf's only worth 95. And he's got to walk around to find one. And, since the werewolf is potentially only 1 out of 5 monsters that are in that zone, you could be taking about 80 steps to find every werewolf, so I'm not really sure if that's better than just taking your chances with the golem right now, where you can get it every step.
Yeah, I mean, we can see how fast his experience has stagnated after those 3 golem kills. It's been like 5 minutes for just another couple hundred, but he is getting level 13 here.
Yeah, he was probably just trying to get those last few hundred on a less variance situation, and he does get it on the Magidrakee. And I saw a single-digit HP gain. A bunch of our stats have triggered into the orange, which means that we're getting closer to Dragon Lord eligible, but yeah, we still don't have enough strength or HP, which are 2 of the most important stats for endgame.
Yeah, and the most important thing, I think we didn't get their sleep spell.
Yeah, sleep spell, no good, so the Stone Man is still kind of off the table. We got a few extra HP. The key is you have to just stay totally topped off if you're going to do this golem grind. You can't be messing with using the heal spell, which does only about 20. It heals, what's the exact range? It's something like 17 to 30 hit points or something. So yeah, oftentimes, is that what it is? 18 to 25. So you're not going to get totally topped off during battle. You can use it maybe after battle if you want to save a couple of MP, but fortunately, just if you can keep that golem asleep, that's the best situation. So the Fairy Flute automatically puts a golem to sleep, 100% success. And then every turn, it's the same as any other sleeping enemy. They have a 1 in 3 chance to wake up every turn. So if the enemy gets unlucky, they can stay asleep for 5 or 6 turns in a row, and you just take it down.
Yeah, exactly, and he is really getting a lot of good luck on this flute overall, as we see him take out a couple more golems here, quickly shooting up just shy of 5,000 in experience now.
Yep, 5625 is the next magic number, and that is only 2 more golem victories because they're 350 each, so 700 more points if he can take 2 of them down. So he's going to want to use Heal More here, and then from there, if it stays asleep, you keep swinging. Now, sometimes you can get in a loop where it just keeps waking up, and then you have to use the flute, which takes a long time, and then you got to heal again, and then it wakes up again and all that. So sometimes this can be very slow, but when it stays asleep, it's actually pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely, and another fantastic flute and kill on that golem, as we see Gambit still wandering around trying to figure out where he needs to go here to complete his exploration and find his items.
Yeah, I've lost track a little bit on what he actually hasn't seen yet, but we see that he doesn't have any quest items on the tracker there, so he hasn't found, any of those towns. Now, I don't know if he full cleared both of the dungeons in his travels or not, but he's getting sent back home so much that he has to keep starting over from the start. That's the main issue. So some things that are way out on the map, he probably just hasn't been able to get to yet because he keeps taking those deaths.
Yeah, exactly. We know he hasn't found Grave because that's where our token was, but oh, level 14, we got 6-1 0-0 sleep though. Not that I think with my 50 HP I want to go fight the Stone Man yet.
Yeah, I totally would though, I think. But I on the other hand, like you said, it's not like an emergency to get that item right now because it's the last thing you need and there's no more exploration to do. So I guess in a way you don't have to go running over there to fight the Stone Man, but you can clearly win that fight now.
Yeah, agreed with the clearly win on that as well. I think if I was him, I would just want to be really in a safe spot. You have to grind anyway at some point, and it would be a big waste of time getting over there, have a sleep, not hit, and then you take a death.
So Gambit found that little pathway all the way on the edge of the map, so he'll be back into the Hawksness area. We saw him here before, so that's what happened though. He didn't continue forward because he died in Hawksness, so he's going to try and clear out the rest of this area, which I don't think there's anything over here. I remember Hawksness being kind of the last thing Mirashu found, and there wasn't anything else, but maybe it loops all the way around here. Yeah, no, this is a dead end.
Yeah, a lot of dead ends in this one. Like, really long winding. We saw Mirashu do one very early where he went super far southeast and then looped back west and just never found a single thing.
Well, we have more flute usage from Mirashu. So it takes something like 8 seconds every time you have to listen to the music and, watch the text go by and everything. So, and then you get your attack in, and then it might just wake up right away. So, yeah, definitely. In many situations, people like to avoid using the flute when they're fighting the golem, but in this situation, obviously, it's necessary.
Yeah, as you can tell by chat, I'm not a big flute fan here, so I'm kind of glad I have the stream muted so I can pay attention to other things here, so I don't have to listen to it. But it's really paying off big time for him. I mean, look at this experience, the experience league gain go high and high. He's up 1,600 experience, and nothing's stopping him at this point.
Yeah, honestly, I can't think of another way that he would have been able to get this experience. I didn't see a lot of really juicy zones while they were walking along. You got the occasional Magic Wyvern popping up and Green Dragon and stuff, but nothing where you could really, get heavy volume, and accumulate all this experience. So it's worked out perfectly. I think this definitely was the right call.
Yeah, as we see Gambit take another death to that Stone Man after coming back around from that dead end.
Yeah, so he still is running about twice as much with the deaths. Yeah, we see there 19 deaths to Mirashu's 10, and that is a major factor in who ends up winning this particular race, just because he hasn't been able to get all the way to the various towns and caves that he needs to. He keeps getting interrupted in his travels by these bad encounters.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to see a lot more golems die over here until we get a just ridiculous level, which may be coming. We're still a little light on strength as well, for sure. So other than that, we know what needs to be done at this point. Just seeing if the runners can figure it out.
So we're having, I think, a little bit of a mapping issue right now for Gambit as well, because this is that peninsula just to the northeast of Start, and I can pretty much guarantee you he's already walked up here a couple times. So that means like maybe he actually thinks that he's been everywhere, or he just completely can't remember where he's been, and you get that inefficiency of kind of walking into areas you've already been to, and that just kind of slows down your overall exploration. So one way or the other, a lot of people draw maps in one way or another when they play this game. Others try and keep it all in their head as they go, and then you have to try and remember where you've been and all that, which makes it's harder to do that when you take a lot of deaths, like what's happening to him. When you're constantly starting over at the castle, it's sort of your mental map gets kind of like messed up. So it's possible that he maybe isn't drawing anything, and now he's starting to just, like, I see him walking into these same areas a lot.
Agreed. I've seen a lot of repetition on the area he's been in. Additionally, we continue to see him not decide to use Repel for whatever reason. And he keeps running into these metal slimes with 50% sleep, 50% hurt more, which are not getting kills, so he's not getting any experience from them either.
Yeah, he's also not healing after some of these battles. I know you get the heal walking from Erdrick's armor, but we have really low HP in this seed. So sometimes you can, something that's different from a lot of other games in Dragon Warrior, you can take exactly one step and get another encounter. And that actually happens pretty often. So people that maybe aren't used to that, it's like maybe I'll heal in a few seconds. I just want to see what's over there. But then you didn't heal and you get the encounter right away, and it's like, uh-oh. And you could even get ambushed and you get sent home before you can even do anything. So just one of those little habits. A lot of times you have to force yourself to not move at all. You have to hit the button and heal.
And someone better call an ambulance for MPI, because the amount of 0 HP levels is just staggering, as a level 15 comes with another 0.
I think we should take a poll on what the big number is going to be, because I feel like we're due for one of those giant levels like we sometimes see. We're just kind of setting up for like a plus 55 HP level, you know what I mean? Because we are on level 15 already. We're getting to the point where the randomizer wants you to be at go time pretty soon. It's like a self-correcting curve within the software or whatever. So at some point, we're going to get a huge level. Maybe. And if we don't, we're going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, I like the maybe thrown in right at the end, because like, I've done it before where it's like, all right, I'm going to try and make 93 work because I give up on getting any HP.
Yeah. Or you make a run into Sherlock and you're like, yeah, for sure the next level is going to give me the HP, and then I could be standing in front of the Dragon Lord and I'm going to be really smart because I save all that time, and then you just keep getting 0 HP. You got to go to level 17, 18, 19. So yeah, we'll see how this grind shapes up for Murashu. Basically, he is in grind and go. We know that he doesn't have the Stones of Sunlight, but he knows where it is. He knows what he has to do to get it, and he knows where the Rainbow Drop Cave is. So basically, he is in his grind phase. He's getting ready to beat the Dragon Lord here. And so all we're looking at now are the stats. He's got all the spells, so you need Heal More to beat the Dragon Lord. So we could check that box a long time ago. We need to be able to do enough damage to the Dragon Lord in how many times that you can heal yourself. So we're getting close. So we can start looking at the strength stat there is 76. You add on the 40 points for Erdrick's sword, and then you get 2 more points for the ring. And that is your attack power down there below. So it says 118. What that means is that you can do a maximum of 9 points to the Dragon Lord. You basically subtract 100, you divide by 2, that's your maximum. Dragon Lord has, in the standard flags, between 150 and 165 hit points. So you have to calculate on or maybe you have a little chart or something, how many heal mores do I have? So we have 100 MP. So, you figure out how many heal mores that is. And so you're going to swing. Basically, the Dragon Lord fight is that you swing and then you heal, and you swing and you heal. So you have to figure out if you can do enough damage before you run out of resources. So that's the idea here from Murashu.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect explanation of exactly what these runners will be looking at. Although, I'll be honest, I'm seeing 50 HP. I'm not caring about any of my stats until that 50 HP is slightly higher. That's when I'll finally start paying attention personally. But hopefully we see it soon. We're getting close.
Right, that's the other part of the puzzle, the other white stat that we have there we're waiting on. The Dragon Lord can breathe Dragon Lord Breath on you for up to 48 damage every turn. So you need to be able to take a turn in between. Like we said, for the overworld monsters, you have to be able to withstand 2 attacks. So you can take a swing, and then on the second turn you heal. So that means that you're going to want 97 hit points or more to go into that fight. Now, there's a little bit of wiggle room, but not much. 50 hit points certainly isn't going to do it. So, as you said, we don't even open the stat menu until we see that number go way up.
All right, so he's topping off here. I'm assuming we're going right back into the swamp here. We see Gambit back at start again. Is throwing up a repel spell here, so hopefully he can make a little progress here on the overworld. He's not terribly far behind in the grand scheme of things for somebody that's been, up against Murashu, who's been on a dedicated grind for, quite a few minutes at this point.
Yep, so for Gambit, he just has to track down so one of the items was actually in the grave, right? So he's got to get into the grave. I guess it was the token. And then other than that, he's got to find the 3 search spot towns. starting to forget which thing was in which place. So the overworld item was the flute, right? And that's what enabled Marashi to do this grind. And Cole had a quest item, and now we know that Hawksness has a quest item. And I guess, so Gambit still hasn't been through the grave either, because that's where I think the token was in the top sections of the grave.
Yeah, token was in the top middle chest of the grave. Harp was in Cole. Fairy Flute was on those cords, as we see Gambit heading back towards Hawks again. And then this will obviously be our stones once we can get underneath that stone man.
Yeah, so I think that for Gambit, mainly what's happened is with all these deaths, he's starting to lose track of his mapping, and I think he's been walking through the same areas. So there's still quite a few towns and caves that he hasn't found yet, because he just hasn't covered the whole map. And that can easily happen when you start getting these situations where you have 20 plus deaths like he has. Just throws you off. So if the seed had been a bit smoother, like if we had gotten 70 or 80 HP like right back on level 5 or 6, that they were basically invincible, maybe he would have covered the whole map kind of in a systematic fashion, and would have found all the locations much more quickly.
Yeah, this is interesting. He's got the sleep spell back in here, though, so more than likely going to be our first runner to pick up the stones here. Or he already did. I just missed it when he searched, because he's on his second stone man now. I was like, there's no way he's hit this guy this many times. So I guess he's going to opt to go ahead and grind this without knowledge of the flute yet.
Ooh, but he didn't. Oh, okay, well, he swung through there. The stone man can sometimes have an annoyingly high number of HP. I think he thought it was guaranteed to... when he swung through there. I was surprised that he didn't recast the sleep spell. It's about a 7 out of 8 to land, so usually that sleep spell is going to land. It's not guaranteed the way the flute is on the golem, though.
Exactly, yeah. Flute 100% guaranteed. Another great thing about the golem is it is not able to evade a swing, so you're guaranteed to make contact every time as well. All right, so Guelph talking about random flute songs in there. I saw that a little earlier in chat, and I have to say I do like that in Z1R. So throw that in the suggestion bin, and McGrew will promptly ignore that one and move on to better things.
There's been a lot of suggestions in the suggestion bin. I kind of feel bad for McGrew. It's like, how do you even wade through all the ideas people have? Because we love this game. It's like, oh, maybe this is possible. Maybe that's possible. And it's amazing how many things he has implemented for the randomizer. It's gets better and better every year.
Yeah, he really has. He has really done a lot for us in this community, as we're seeing some of those benefits here. It's standard season again, but every year when we're in standard season, at least the 3 years I've been in this community, the version that we've been on has been slightly different. Whether it's, we got this new function, this new feature, all of a sudden torches and fairy waters are working. This year we have death counter and different growth curves. Only 3 hit points on level 16, by the way, so we're here for a while still.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really detail in the beginning what exactly is different this year, because we have the golem and the red dragon were 350. That's a fairly big strategic change in some cases. The gold man gives a lot of gold now. The green dragon can appear on a spike tile now. Yeah, so there have been some tweaks made. I don't remember if the nerfing of the sleep and the dragon lord breath, was that in effect last year, or is that still a new thing, like the 50% max?
That's a great question that someone in chat probably knows the answer. All the changes kind of blend together. I know the big highlights from 3.0, outside of the additional randomization options we had, was the red dragon golem at 350, the gold man have 650 gold, and the tweaks to the growth curve. Yeah,
that's probably mainly at this time. I have a feeling the 50% max was in effect last year's tournament as well. But yeah, it is a strategic difference. I kind of all those changes, I probably enjoy the most, the green dragon can appear on the spike tiles now. I think that's pretty cool. Of course, in the original game, the green dragon was the guardian of the princess, so there was a spike tile there. In that case, it was a one and done. It doesn't reappear and respawn, but it only makes sense that it can make an appearance on a spike tile. So that's been added for this year.
Absolutely, and it's been an interesting addition. I was really excited about it until the green dragons just continue to be interesting grind choices, and with no other options. You know, they have heal more. Do you attack first, then hurt more, or do you hurt more and just hope it goes through?
The 1 out of 8 hurt more resistance that it has is more annoying than anyone would imagine. It's funny because an Axe Knight has a 1 in 16 resistance, and it just feels like that almost never is a thing. It's like you're surprised when you miss, and I feel like on a green dragon grind, I'm just missing constantly, and it's just incredible. It's only 1 out of 8 apparently, but it's super annoying.
Well, just like agility, that 1 out of 8's just on paper suggestion and not a real statistic.
So Marashu has been fighting these golems since he was at around 3,500 or so experience total. So now he's up over 10,000. So that is a lot of golem victories. And in fact, I'm not sure if this existed in the previous tournament. And we'll see at the end of our race here if we continue rolling. But if you keep the credits rolling, you get the screen at the end where it'll show you a bunch of statistics for how many of every monster you defeated, how many times you got ambushed, and all that kind of stuff. So that could be fun to see, like how many golems he ends up defeating at the end of the day here.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a few. We got 4 to go for level 17 to hit. He took a risk. I think he thought he was going to cover the range, didn't reflute, and came up just a little shorter, else he would be down to 3 before taking this refresh.
All right, we're going to have a coordinate check here from Gambit, so it's going to be a really quick search. As we remember, it's only 8 steps away from the castle here, and that will lead him to the flute. And I believe he knows there's a golem on that particular search tile. Now I'm not sure if he'll put it together to think to himself, well, maybe I should go over there and fight golems right now, because you don't need the princess for anything. So sometimes if you're thinking of it that way, like, oh, do I need to go over to Swamp Cave and fight the golem? You know, you don't need it for the sake of rescuing the princess, but it is probably your best grind right now.
Absolutely. So, and I kind of like this play. Marashu took a death, has much better capacity to go get these stones, and probably going to be grinding for a while anyway, so not going anywhere for a while. Get a Snickers break, go get you a stones, kill Stone Man, and go back to the golems.
I don't think I would stay here on the Stone Man, though. If I were him, I would just cast Return right away after getting the stones. Go get your rainbow drop, and just go back to the Swamp Cave.
100% agreed.
There's also not going to be any reason in this seed to do any kind of preemptive or preliminary exploration of Sharlock. So he can get his rainbow drop, and he'll have access to the castle. But I don't think there's any reason to go in there right now. Sometimes you want to get a good look and see what's in the zones. You know, am I going to be running into a bunch of red dragons? And, you know, because maybe there's not a good grind. But he has a really nice grind right now in the Swamp Cave. 350 for every golem victory is really good. So he should just stick with that.
Yeah, agreed. And Sharlock's something I've been thinking about here, because I don't believe, and I might have missed them, but I don't believe I've seen a blue dragon, a red dragon, or an armored knight yet.
Right, exactly. And so that means we don't know what abilities they might have, and particularly if there's a red dragon with the sleep spell, that's by far the biggest variance that you could run into on your final dive, because they hit really hard. And so if they put you to sleep and they're able to take a few swings at you, you get sent home, you know, even though you're not even trying to fight anything. So, he is going to make a little bit of a scouting report here. And if you can actually, well, he's going the wrong way for it, but if you continue down through, you can get a good look at a couple of zones while you're in here. Right now, he just wants to see what's up here on the top zone.
Yeah, it must be the sounds of that flute has driven him to madness. So the golem says, you know what? You don't like me, I'm coming to you. And immediately it's his first encounter in here. Not sure I really like this play, but I can kind of get what he's going for here.
Yeah, I think there's a tendency maybe to underestimate actually how good the golem grind is. 350 is a lot of experience. So when you have to take all these steps to find every encounter, even if there are axe knights and stuff in here, it just might not be as fast of a grind as you would think, because you have to walk around and look for the next axe knight every time. And now he's just fighting a golem anyway. So obviously it's if there were all golems, for example, in the top zone here, it would clearly be worse, because you're taking a bunch of steps to find the next encounter. Whereas the spike tile, it's every single step. You can get the next battle going right away.
Agreed. Yeah, and we've seen Gambit went over and started to do that golem grind, and I guess maybe missed doing a flute or didn't heal up enough and took a death there. Marashu's finally was getting the bad side of the golem grind here with this guy. He was repeatedly waking up, but finally gets him down.
And there's a hurt more target for 95 experience for the werewolf. 12,000 even is the next level up here, so we are just a few enemies away from getting level 17 and the potential large HP gain. Not sure if anybody in chat actually tried to predict what the big number is going to be, but I feel like we're going to get a 40 plus HP at some point.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and go with my guess. I'm guessing level 18 comes with 32 after like a nominal 12 on this next level.
Wow, that's an interesting guess. Very good. Yeah, I think we're getting 45 right here on level 17. That's my guess.
Although I did say nominal 12, and 12 would be double any other game we've gotten in the entire seed so far.
What would make it to be a little bit squirmy on the final dive? Like, let's say you had 94 hit points. Like, would you go or not? So I think that they're actually, I'm going to modify my guess and say they get 41 hit points on the next level up here.
Yeah, that's why I picked my two numbers. 12 and 32 would put us right at 97. All right, Blue Dragons look pretty standard fare there. No special abilities as he took one down for his 180. That's all you're getting out of me, chat. Sorry.
So Gambit also using some flute strats to fight golems here, so kudos to him, taking advantage of the item that he found a few steps away from the castle in the overworld there. He's healing wisely in between swings, and yeah, using flute strats to take down this golem for 350. And Gambit's up around 8,000 experience, so, and he's going back and forth, so he's got the right idea with the grind as well. He just still has a little bit more to track down with items, unless for some reason we missed him getting these items or something, but I'm assuming he still has to go find those quest items.
Yeah, I've been trying to pay attention when he's out there, and he's been repeatedly in a dark cave, but never really able to tell what he was doing or where he was. And shout out to like one of our best trackers in the business behind the scenes, by the way, Cameo and Renakai. So I highly doubt that we actually have missed something on the tracker here. So he does have more work to do looking around for towns and caves. No, absolutely. Yeah, Camion is a regular in multiple randomizer communities and is a workhorse. So appreciate the effort he puts through to make up for our lack of paying attention.
All right, we have a stat check here for Marashu. He did get a big number. It's 84 total. So I think the your guess came through, but one level earlier.
Yeah.
Might be reversed. Might be 31 and then 12. So, but yeah, still not go time, although you can see now the other numbers in the green. No matter what, it's going to be clear go time when he gets the hit points, because we have a high MP situation here. So we're going to like absolutely destroy the Dragon Lord when we are actually able to fight it. It's just that right now the Dragon Lord can two-shot you, so you can't really fight it right now.
Yeah, the other stat I've been watching, especially with an unknown status of those two red enemies in Sherlock, is that 71 agility. I've been keeping an eye on that. It has barely been trickling up here as we go along. We'll see what happens when they get ghost stats, though. Yeah,
the top zones didn't seem too bad, though, right? I remember seeing golems and werewolves. Not sure what else they ran into, but Yeah, I didn't see anything too dangerous on the top zone. Now, there are 3 different zones in Charlock. As you dive through, the monsters get shuffled up and redistributed all over again in the middle and the bottom zone. So we could have a very nice, easy top zone and then face a lot of dangerous monsters down below.
Yep, exactly. Nothing's worse than having a nice free stroll through Charlock, and then you hit the U floor in Zone 3 and pow, Red Dragon, over and over.
Yeah, another thing for maybe some newer viewers is the randomizer has something that we don't have in the original game, which is a guardian right in front of the final boss. So we have what we call the mini boss. It's just a few steps away from the Dragon Lord. And so you could have a situation like we're saying where you could stroll all the way through Charlock, and then the mini boss is the red dragon that we haven't seen for the whole seed, and it has the wombo combo. So that's another issue. It's a fight that you have to win to get through. And so once in a while, that can be a really bad enemy.
Yeah, exactly, and it can really throw you through a loop when you get down there for sure. To answer Matthew's question, there isn't one in vanilla. Correct, there is not one in vanilla. What Magru did was he took that spike tile that's normally in front of Cantlin in vanilla, which is a golem, and moved that spike tile entity to be in that little opening there right before the Dragon Lord to just really put a little extra into your dive.
Yep, because in Randomizer, there's no wall around Cantlin, of course. The wall has been moved to be around Charlock so that we don't have to have some kind of a special island in order to make the Rainbow Bridge. So that we have the wall with the guaranteed water tile in between and all that. Yeah, so things were moved and reshuffled and reused in a way that makes sense for Randomizer.
Yeah, it was pretty ingenious for sure. Threw me for a loop the first time I ever saw this randomizer being run, and I recognized that wall around Charlock and was so confused and had to look at a vanilla map to see if I was misremembering the game from when I was younger.
Yep. Now we call it the Big C because it's always going to be a sideways wall. The wall actually faces up and down in vanilla. You have to go from north to south to get into Cantlin. But it's always going to be sideways because bridges are always a sideways facing sprite. There's no up and down bridge in the game. So the Big C is always facing sideways, and when you catch sight of that wall, you know it's Charlock Castle.
And even how big those walls are and how much space that place takes up, it's amazing how elusive it can be during certain seeds.
Yeah, we just had a casual race, maybe it was yesterday, where a lot of us, it was the last thing that we found, and what happened was you saw the wall, and you're like, oh, there's Charlock, I know where it is. So then you do your grind and stuff, you go back over there to beat the game, and yeah, you can see the wall, but you can't actually get to the entrance because there's a bunch of water and stuff. So you have to go to the second continent, or you got to walk all the way around or whatever. So just because you see the back of the wall doesn't mean you've actually found the entrance to Charlock. You sometimes have to be aware of that. So pro tip for all you guys that are wanting to run this game soon.
Second pro tip, make sure you have return or a set of wings when Charlock is 5,000 blocks away from start as well.
That's also very important. Yep.
So we see Marashu getting super close to 18 here. He's got to take down 3 more here. We get to 14,250. I think I'm terrible at math. I'm not going to guess if 700's enough.
Yep. It's soon. TM. And now we're in that situation with 84 hit points. The golem grind is actually trivial, and now we'd probably be if you were doing this, you'd probably not even use the flute anymore, right? It might be faster to just swing and heal, because now you can take 2 shots from a golem most of the time. But he's choosing to continue with flute strats here, and yeah, if we do get somewhere in the range of 10 plus hit points, it's go time. So diving with, if you had these stats, DK, because we have a lot of MP, I don't know if diving at 93 or 94 is an option here. Certainly, I think you'd go for it with 95. We don't have the silver shield, so defense isn't great, and yada yada, but you're not going to go get a whole other level if you have 95 hit points for sure.
I'd say I more than likely would be diving at that point. Whether I would want to swing at things along the way is another story. We know the green dragon has heal more, although it's been blended on when it uses it, so that would be one less enemy you would really want to swing through. Depends on how many of those other lesser enemies. But let's see what 18 gives here real fast, and we'll find out if we need it or not.
Yeah. I felt like that was coming. It was just the big numbers were coming. Yeah, so this is pretty much, unless we run into a Wombo combo enemy, this is a free dive here.
We literally had more HP given over the last 2 levels than we did the entirety of the game prior to that.
Yep, love the randomness. It's funny all the things that if you see more and more seeds, just how different each one is, you know, in so many ways. So this one was the story of the HP. Everything else seemed pretty straightforward. We had the early hurt more, we got the early gear, and they just had to deal with really low HP.
Yeah, and that level even gave him a 15th heal more. Not that it is necessarily needed here. We're at 133, so we'll be doing 8 to 16. So what, average around 13 or 14 swings, I think?
Yeah, and another thing, and probably won't come up because we have plenty of HP, but you do have to be aware that when the defense is still in the orange like it is here, the Dragon Lord can sometimes hit you physically for more than 48 damage. And so if in your mind, a lot of newer runners, it's like, well, 49, I'm automatically taking a swing because the Dragon Lord breath can max out at 48. You know, you have to be aware, what is your defense and can I get hit for more than 48? And so in this case, Marashu can get hit for up to 51. And so he just has to know that if the situation arises during the fight.
Yeah, that's a very good point. A lot of people tend to overlook what their max, and I ain't gonna lie, I did for over a year. I didn't know how to calculate it out and just never cared. I just kind of ballparked it and hoped for the best, which mostly worked out for me. But knowing that number, and it's really simple to calculate, is a real important thing. All right, so we got Gambit still on the grind here, about to hit 16. 16 didn't really come with much, but that gets him one level closer to 17, which shows a little bit of hope.
I'll just point out along those same lines, there was a large shield that he bought a long time ago. Of course, we had no gold grind, so no silver shield. But that large shield does make it a little bit less of an issue. You're taking not as much damage from the Dragon Lord, and you notice, at least as far as we know, Gambit does not have a shield yet. So if Gambit were to do this dive, he would have to be even more aware of how hard he could get hit by the Dragon Lord. It's quite a lot when you have 64 defense. He'll be a little bit higher than that by level 18, but with no large shield, that's a what is it? 10 points difference? Yeah, for defense. It's worth 10 defense, so something to keep track of for Gambit if he chooses to finish this out.
Yeah, agreed. And as we've seen here, Zone 2 coming with both those missing red enemies here. We've seen Marashu decide that he is going to run from them, and we'll see how this continues to play out for him. What would you do if you were in this situation with these stats?
I believe that I would be swinging at red dragons right now, and really hoping that it didn't have like a sleep spell or something like that, because we're a bit overpowered for how much MP we have. So like he had to burn one during this fight, and I don't think it's that big a deal. The problem is if there's just so many red dragons, and looks like red dragons actually have stop spell here, so it works out nicely.
Yeah, stop spell and baby breath, and he's using the baby breath quite frequently, so it's almost a free fight, honestly.
Yeah, and that actually, counterintuitively, that might make it so that you should probably run from them, because there's not a danger that you're going to get wiped out as much, So we're much less than 50-50 to run. You would need 90 agility to run from a red dragon half the time. So 74 agility, he can count on being run blocked quite a bit by a red dragon, but I think it's probably still better race-wise right now to run from red dragons. Initially, I would fight them, but now seeing how nerfed they are, I think you're better off running. I don't know what you think, but that's my idea.
Yeah, I'm hit or miss on this. I know people out there know, oh, I'm at 74 agility, I'm X% to run from the Red Dragon or something. I figure I'm above 70, I've got a coin flip.
Right, but like I'm saying that. Oh, so you would just go with run strats then? You're saying? Oh,
Yeah,
no, we have Armor Knights in
exactly.
the same zone. Oof.
Yeah, an Armor Knight definitely not free. He is no abilities he's shown yet, but he is definitely attacking with that axe big time.
Yeah. So they don't hit quite as hard as Red Dragons, but they do hit pretty hard, and they are almost as hard to run from. So when you do use run strats and the variance is not in your favor, you can easily just get blocked 5, 6, 7 times in a row, and that's when you start burning heal mores, and it starts to become closer with the Dragon Lord math. I feel like he had several heal mores that he could burn here before it starts to become a problem. But I mean, with Red Dragons and Armor Knights in a zone, that can happen. You can end up having to burn multiple heal mores on the dive. So yeah, it is one of the things that you have to evaluate every time. Should I be fighting these red monsters, or do I want to try and run strat and deal with the variants?
Absolutely. And we've made it to the light. We have made it to the bottom floor. Nothing scary yet, although I think we've only seen 2 enemy types so far. And it's almost all been Axe Knights with stop spell.
Yeah, so Murashu is down 2 heal mores. He's got 104 MP to work with, which is 13 heal mores, I want to say, which should be plenty with the current attack power of 133. As we mentioned before, what you do is you divide that by 2 after subtracting 100, and then you divide it by 2 again. So at this point, he's doing 8 to 16 for an average of around 12 for every swing that he takes against the Dragon Lord. And if you do a bunch of math, you'll see that mostly you need about 96 MP to deal with it. So he only really has about 1 heal more remaining that he could burn without running into a problem.
Yeah, and he's been running into more Red Dragons. I'm kind of rooting for some more Red Dragon encounters. I kind of want to see what level 19 brings at this point.
He's fighting through, yeah. So 16-5 is the next big level. So 3 more Red Dragons and he would be there. There may be one on the mini-boss tile.
Nah, just the standard blue. The one fight we saw him take earlier just fought right through it, so should be a pretty straightforward fight here.
Yeah, let's see if it has an emergency heal more spell or something here, but no. Blue Dragon just attacking. Next attack should do it, and he probably has a few herbs that he could get back to max, and he'll have 1 heal more in reserve for the Dragon Lord fight. But no, there's a Red Dragon that says otherwise. And he entered this fight not topped off, which is always a little tricky. Now, the Red Dragon does have weak abilities, but I feel like anytime I have a Red Dragon in a zone, I want to use multiple herbs and get topped off before I take a step. Worked out here. He ended up taking some small fire, which doesn't do a lot of damage right now. It's going to use 1 last herb and go for it. So here we go. Dragon Lord has between 150 and 165 HP. The first form here also has a various amount of HP, but typically we don't worry too much about it. And he gets the stop spell, which is rare, and it's awesome when it happens.
Yeah, the first form, 75 to 100, typically a 3-shot for this amount, and here we go. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so because of that stop spell in round 1, he was able to be in a situation where he could attack twice here. Now, he did take a swing there at 50. Technically, he had about a 2% chance of dying there. That was exactly the situation we were talking about. He just took a swing there at 50 like it was no problem. And now he's at 46, obviously going to heal in that situation. But yeah, he could have gotten sniped there. You never know. From here on out, he's a pretty big favorite because he did get the opening double. That's like an extra heal more almost that he doesn't need to burn during the fight. So he's a very big favorite to win.
Yeah, that was a little scary. I saw that immediately as well, and he got lucky. He got physical for almost a min roll.
And Gambit is making quick work of these golems here, just wanting to get further and further along before acquiring the rest of his quest items, I suppose.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to mention, just as chat did, there went a 50 on the screen that we just saw come across.
That probably woke him up, like, ooh, wait a minute. Maybe I should be watching out for that. But now he's in that situation where after the heal more, he's basically topped off every time, and it's hard to actually have a situation where it's going to be borderline, unless like you end up getting a double attack that's just barely, a double attack, so then you have to make your decision there. But yeah, he should be all set from here. He's rolling pretty low. I see a bunch of 9s, but yeah, it's 8 to 16 on the range here. So if he rolls too many 9s, it could get close, but yeah, there's an 8. I have completely lost count because I expected this to be fairly easy, but now he's got 2 heal mores in the tank. If the Dragon Lord rolls, max HP 165, maybe we're starting to get close here. Any of these next attacks could do it, and he'll be under an hour and a half. Put your GGs together, Marashu is your victor.
Yeah, going to take this first W here. Going to be 1-0 in the Magidrakee group, putting himself in a good position as he moves through that. I believe that's one of the 8-player groups, if I recall, which means that each of these runners in this group will have 7 total 1 versus 1 races to go through.
Yeah, and I feel like I should have written down beforehand who else is actually in his group. So, like you said, it's round robin, so he'll be facing off against every member of the group. 2 of the runners in every group are seeded, so they're traditionally maybe some of the stronger runners, but you have to play everybody once. And let's see, we may have a visitor here.
GG, Marashu, how was that seed for you?
So, tell me it's a Math Girl seed without telling me it's a Math Girl seed.
She said, oops, here's everything except hit points.
Yeah, the seed besides hit points went, I think, pretty well. I feel like my exploration was pretty good. My big worry was that Gambit would be finding a better grind spot than me, because if they could get the experience more than me, this was really just how good can you grind, everything else is just peripheral.
Yeah, I thought you made a great choice to get into that golem grind, and you sort of stayed with it even though the HP was still really low. And that paid off pretty well for you.
Yeah, by level 16 I was having doubts at it. As you could probably tell from when I went to go do my homework and then see if I could get some better levels in Charlock. I was hoping for, I don't know, some good hurt moreable enemies in there, and turned out golems were in there too, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're talking a little bit about some of the differences with the newest version, with the golem being worth 350 now. It seems like a much better plan than maybe it would have been a year ago. Did that factor in for you at all? Seeing how quickly you were gaining experience with 350 every time?
Oh, definitely. I definitely factored the 350 in. When I see a golem as the grind spot, now it's less of a difficult decision. The only thing holding me back was the HP, and the fact that I couldn't take 2 hits. As soon as 17 came around and I knew I could take 2 hits, it was just golems for days.
So here's, I guess, one of my only other questions for you, something that came up earlier in the seed. I'm not sure if you were closely tracking your cursed belt status at all, and whether or not you were thinking of any of that.
Yeah, I did see all 3. If you mean my dive for grave, I might have forgotten how many items were still remaining. But I knew there were items in all the places. I just think I lost count of key items.
Like that, you'd already gotten the necklace, and you'd already gotten, yeah, right. And of course, you got the Erdrick's gear right in the the starting area, which was hilarious. You just grabbed the keys, and it's like, oh, I guess I don't have to buy anything.
Yeah, and I was putting off buying keys in Rim until I had enough gold for several keys. So when I saw that, got me thinking, oh, maybe I should have just got one key, gone back, and I'm curious to see how Gambit handled that one.
Yeah, Gambit got in there probably about 5 minutes before you. I think you got it around an 11 or 12 minute mark, if I recall, and he was in there about the 5 or 6 minute mark to see what the treasury had.
Yeah, fortunately, you guys had Hurtmore on level 3, so it wasn't quite that big of a deal. I guess if you were doing some kind of slow grind and you just never went and checked that, it could have been very detrimental, but I don't think it ended up hurting you in any way to wait a few minutes to get the gear. You did, there was a time when you were walking around, you were taking the swamp damage and all that stuff, which, of course, once you get Erdrick's armor, that all goes away. But, Hurtmore Seed, I think what you did was kind of an interesting choice, because it's a little annoying to make the walk for one key, right? And then you use it, and then you got to walk all the way around that town again and go buy more keys. So saving up a little money made some sense.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saving up till I got to about 300, but every time I got close, around the 200 mark, something would send me back to the castle and need to restart it.
Yep, that sounds pretty standard. Randomizer.
Yeah.
Fortunately, though, overall, your death counter was much less than Gambit's, throughout the middle game. I can't actually see it right now, but I think he has more than double the deaths for you, so... even though you took some of those early deaths that you're mentioning, once you got going, it seemed like it went a lot more smoothly for you. You managed the low HP situation, I think, a little bit better. You made sure you stayed topped off. You were casting heal after battles, not relying too heavily on the heal walking. Because, low HP, for a while there, even, a regular enemy like a blue dragon or a wizard or something that you would encounter was kind of an annoying problem, right? You had 35 hit points. You were kind of wondering if you could even survive.
Yeah, the low hit points is always an interesting animal, and low hit points with Erdrick's armor, that's misleading, because the armor makes you think you're safe, but you're really not.
Yep, those big monsters can still get you. I know, you guys both check the spike tile. It's like a golem, and it just hits you one time, and you're done. So it's it's funny. That I guess was the main challenge, right, for the seed. If it wasn't for the low HP, I don't know if you guys would have died hardly at all.
The low HP and the late sleep. The late sleep also really hurt.
Right. Particularly when there's a Stone Man Guardian on the Hawk's Nest. So it was interesting to see how you just put that off. You didn't, go and get the last item that you needed for a long time, even though you knew where it was. It's just I'm just going to continue grinding over here in the Golem. You get it, later.
Yeah, because the Stone Man, their Hawk's Nest in general, was so far away from any healing, and it had the same kind of problems that the Golem grind had, but for less experience, so I didn't see much reason of going out there until I was ready to go in Charlock.
Nice, and I did find the group that you're in, so Magidrakee group. So other opponents you'll end up facing will be Stags28, Arbabalut, Cyberark 86, Ladob, Tilo, Big Slamu. Any of those you're looking forward to, or maybe in the process of scheduling?
I mean, I'm looking forward to all of them. They all will be fun races. I've been watching Ladob since he first started running, so we've been wanting to either do a head-to-head race or a co-op race for some time now, so the fact that we're in the same group is finally the excuse we need to do that. So I'm a bit looking forward to that one. But otherwise, it's gonna be a fun group to play. There's none that I'm really afraid of, but there's none that I think, oh, this is gonna be easy. It's all gonna be interesting challenges, all gonna be fun races. I'm just looking forward to playing against everyone in my group.
Yeah, it was fun last night to see how all the groups shaped up, and it's where some familiar names landed, and there's a lot of names that are less familiar that are going to make a huge splash this year. So group play is going to be fun to follow, and some people have slow starts. You're obviously you have a fast, nice start with the 1-0, getting things rolling, right? So that puts you in a nice position. Top 3, I believe, in every group are going to move forward to the brackets. So you put yourself in a nice position to make a run at that.
Thanks. Yeah, it's good position, but with the group I'm in right now, I feel like it's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very close. I don't think anyone's going to be steamrolling. But then again, I don't know, because it's randomizer. So someone could have great luck, and the skills are there. Like, I'm not knocking my group. There's great players in my group, don't get me wrong. I just think that it's going to be a good time, and you're going to see a lot of close races. Or at least that's my hope. My hope is for a lot of close races in my group.
So one of the really fun features with the new version, we see all your stats rolling through now. 319 bonk. What do you think about that?
I honestly don't really pay attention to bonks because I rely on them so much for dark navigating. And that's just because I'm really cheap. I don't like spending 2 MP, or I don't like spending a torch if I don't have to. So I really don't care too much about the bonks just because I use them to navigate the dark.
I think it's just amusing to say it sometimes at the end. It's like, wow, my hero must really have a headache just bonking into the walls that many times. I forget which sprite now you even played with, but...
When I do strength HP, I play Prince of Cannock. So, I mean, with all the times he died, it's like beating your head against a wall, I guess.
All right, well, let me bring everybody up to speed on Gambit real fast while we've been talking here. It looks like we did have Gambit find the grave, pick up his stone or his token in there. He did deep dive because he still didn't have the harp at that moment, but did find coal and pick up his harp as well. Seems to have misplaced the exchange cave though. So he checked Tantajul basement, he checked the jerk cave, so we'll see if he can figure out where that is, and we know it's just west. Right,
yeah, and he did see it for sure. It was probably over an hour ago, maybe an hour and a half ago. So, and I feel like he kind of knows that it's around here because he's kind of hunting around right near start. And obviously that cave right there is the Rainbow Drop cave, but you can't use that one until you go visit the other cave first. So yeah, I'm sure, has some choice words for this situation, but we've all been there.
Exactly. He's going to see it momentarily, I believe. It's just right over here.
Yeah, I think you may have to steer a bit to the south, although my mapping is notoriously not the greatest either. But I feel like he may end up missing it just to the south if he keeps following the coast here.
I think it was just like a screen or less to the west of where he is.
It's fun to see multiple damage points done against the metal slime there, right? Did he hit for 2 damage?
He sure did, and then it ran away after sleeping him.
Yeah, but you were right, Morashu, and there it is. So first of the 2 trade-ins acquired. And now what's his... Okay, so he's still on level 17, but he's not far from go time.
Yeah, he's just 2 or 3 golems away, and then he'll be prepping for his dive as well.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if he wanted to get aggressive, he could try and get it on the way now, and it would work out for him. With 84 HP to go for that and count on a double-digit gain, I don't know. It looks like he might be going for it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know it, but man, he gets down to zone 2, runs into a red dragon, and gets the same amount of stop spell / baby breath luck that Morashu had, and it's a free level.
All right, let's see if he makes the turn here and goes in early and tries to get it on the way. But yeah, he's doing guaranteed damage here. Metal Slime, unfortunately, can't get it. It would be a nice 255, right? Are they still worth 255?
Yeah, they're scaled and worth 255, so up to level 8 they're scaled, and then...
It's actually worth less than red dragons and golems now, interesting. All right, well, in we go for the dive-in grind. He is going to maybe try and get it on the way here, although he doesn't have full MP, so maybe this is just a grind? What are we thinking here? He's not looking for anything, is he? He's just maybe scouting.
Yeah, I thought he was stopping into a town here, but yeah, he definitely didn't top off.
Yeah, that would have been the play, because he walked right by that town, and when he went that way, I was like, oh, he's going to top off here, and he's going to go for it. Obviously, there's no way for him to know that he's going to have it on the next level, but it would have been a nice way to save a minute or two. Just, get the level while you're down there, and then just go fight the Dragon Lord immediately. Of course, when you do try that, and you end up getting 0 HP, it's like, oh, I wasted all this time walking around in Charlock. I could have been killing golems. So it's a gamble either way. And right now, he's kind of not doing either of those. He didn't go back for golems. He's just grinding on top zone enemies here. Next victory will do it, right? 14,250 is the big number.
Yep, so I would expect to see him as soon as he gets that kill immediately outside and go top off. We'll see if that's what does take place, though.
Trying to see if there's any other interesting statistics popping up. 34 golems were fought for Murashu, 28 of which were defeated, and 3 deaths. And 3 of them, I guess he ran away from, right? Because it has to add up somehow.
Yeah, and the runaways were just like that one, but we, for whatever reason, see Gambit continue to push inward.
Run block 16 times, ambush 17 times. I forget what the difference is on the formula there. I feel like you should be getting run blocked more than getting ambushed. But I don't know. So maybe he was a little unlucky with how many times he got ambushed. Agility was a bit low in the start of this seed for the first maybe 8 or 9 levels.
Yeah, I find, and I agree with you, I think those should be that way, but yeah, every once in a while you just get that enemy set that's just a pain and wants to ambush you a lot. And it also will, Schmike just stole my line, I was going to say, it also depends on how many times you actually do try to run from an enemy, where in this seed, honestly, with Hurt More early, they didn't have a lot of running. They were mostly just obliterating the things they saw and repelling the things they didn't want.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense when you put it that way. So if you never even try to run, then that stat's going to be low. Yeah, it's hard to get a handle on how many times you should get ambushed. The ambush formula, I think, is like a nerfed version of run blocking, right? It's like as if they're always in the bottom group or whatever. So it shouldn't happen as often as you would think. Sometimes, like, relatively early in the seed, you find a relatively big monster. You assume you're just going to get ambushed, but it shouldn't be that automatic. They did get ambushed 17 times in this run. 4 crits, 2 dodges. Not too much happening there.
Yeah, the 4 crits I feel for him, it's well below average, even accounting for the Dragon Lord fight. But we got Gambit topped off, herbed up, and he's going to be diving now.
There we go. Gets away from the werewolf easily. That is the easiest Charlock enemy to run from. They happen to be in a different group for run blocking. And blue dragons are kind of annoyingly difficult to run from without actually being an armor knight or a red dragon. But the agility finally did get into the green DK, so it's not like you're not fist pumping like, yes, like my agility's great. But 74 agility is passable here. All the enemies except for the 2 red enemies, you're a pretty big favorite to run from, and it's just not a problem. The interesting stat there, though, on our tracker, it's still in white because he never did buy a shield, at least not one that we noticed. So he is going to get hit pretty hard by the Dragon Lord when the time comes.
Yeah, 67, I think, is, 53?
That seems right to me, yep.
Yeah, so you never know when that sneaky hit's going to come.
I don't know if we asked Marashu about that when he took a swing for 50. Are you still here, Marashu? You took a swing, and then like 2 turns later, you got hit for 50. And you were like, oh.
I knew it could happen, but after the back attack, I didn't want to burn the heal more until I'd seen how I was going to be doing. So, at that point I was thinking, I got back attacked, if I also get a hit for 50, then this was just meant to be a failed run.
Oh man, for some reason I didn't notice the back attack, but the Dragon Lord 1 fight went pretty well, at least, so you got the stop spell there. So you had a chance, I guess, at an opening double. I thought that you did get the opening double, but...
No, I got a back attack on DL2, so...
Yeah, and then you took a swing on 50. Okay, I got you. Yeah, it's like, yep, not meant to be if I'm just going to get 2-shot here. Yeah, it's just funny that it did swing for 50 on you, like, just a couple of rounds afterwards. It's like, just slightly bad timing by the Dragon Lord there.
There was another time I was at 49, and then I decided to heal at 49, and he swung for 48. Like, oh, that would have been cutting it close.
Pretty close. Yeah, because obviously you're keeping careful count of the damage you're doing, so you knew you had a little bit to spare there.
Yeah, and my first 2 were low rolls, so that made me feel a bit better about my swinging on 50. Once the damage got going, I felt a bit better, but the first 2 rolls were pretty low.
And what's been interesting watching Gambit dive here, completely different encounters than Marashu had on the way down. I think by this point you were like 6 or 7 red dragons in, a couple 2-3 armor knights, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't know that he's seen one yet.
Yep. There's a red dragon as you say that, but yeah, I remember specifically Marashu was down to 104 MP at this stage of his dive, so it started getting a little more dicey. Right now, somehow he's down 2 MP. Maybe he used Radiant. So he did cost himself a heal more at some point, but he's still in a better position at this stage of his dive than Marashu was.
Might want to herb up there after getting down to 42. I know some runners do tend to just be really stingy with the herb usage, and it's quite alright to use them. Don't be afraid.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's one of the things I can remember actually learning specifically to be better about just healing throughout the game, really. But yeah, using herbs when you have them. Yep, and there's the stop spell. So super easy red dragon, all things considered, this time around.
Which is, of course, why they weren't on the overworld.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it would have been probably at some point. Well, you guys had pretty low HP, but at some point they would have been worth quite a bit of experience if you were finding them. But here we go, mini boss, blue dragon. Didn't seem to have any abilities. And down it goes for Gambit, and he has the full 118. He could cast 2 regular heal spells right now and still have not cost himself a heal more. Decides to go ahead and use an herb instead, and another herb. Heavy favorite to be victorious here as Gambit finishes out our first race of the tournament that's being broadcast. I think there may have been 1 or 2 offline, but we have and the first race of the night. We have other races happening tonight, so anybody that's watching may want to stick around and or just be aware that there is more happening.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I think we have the next race coming up at 9:30 tonight. Should be a good one. Archfield Monk versus Keegalus.
What was the time on that? 9:30 you said? So about a half an hour from now is the scheduled start time. Yeah, so you might as well just keep the channel open and stick around for that.
Yeah, get yourself some snacks here in a few after we get Gambit through this Dragon Lord and little talkies and see what happens. He takes a swing at 48.
Bold move. Worked out. And he got the full 100 on the heal more, and there's the physical for 50. So no favorites from the Dragon Lord. Hits both of our runners for 50. Gambit again has no shield, so he could get hit even harder. Yeah, he's going for it. I think he's got plenty of resources. Doesn't really have to take those risks, but he's making sure.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel it might just be an oversight. You might not realize it said 48 there, like Ninja Swing, and it's one of those like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just won moments. And sometimes it works out like it did for him.
Yeah, now he's in that comfortable zone where when you max out on your HP, when you have like 118 like this, you very rarely get into that spot again because you're always kind of in between with the HP now. So he should be fine. There's another physical for 49. I haven't noticed like a lot of real low rolls or anything, but he's probably going to finish this up with about 2 heal wars to spare. And sub 2 hours for sure, unless something goes wrong in this fight.
Yeah, I was noting as well. He's getting much better rolls than Murashu did, especially later in Murashu's fight when it was like 998.
Oh, I looked forward in chat. I looked up in chat, and there may actually be a multiplayer casual happening as well. So, all sorts of Dragon Warrior ongoing. Probably for the next month, we can just keep this channel open, and there's just going to be multiple races every day. There's, I want to say, over 60 racers, right? And they all have to schedule their round robin matches, 6 or 7 matches each over the course of the next 4 weeks. So it's going to be tons of races to watch here. GG's for Gambit to finish this one out. Congrats. Well done.
Yeah, very well ran. We saw he just had a lot less luck getting out there on the overworld, which sent him back much more frequent before he finally got into a groove with a grind, got that experience, and then was able to get out there and had no issues. Going to finish with an official race time of 1:54.41.
Yeah, GG's. We'll see if he wants to come in and say a few words. I guess, like you said, the comparison between the two runs here, a big factor is going to be that death count. I'm not sure what Murashu finished out at, but I think Gambit had more than twice as many deaths, and that obviously will hinder your exploration. Do we have Gambit?
Twice as many deaths and probably 30 minutes extra over Murashu. That's about where I expected to be.
Well, GG on your run. What are your initial thoughts about what were the challenges here for the seed?
I mean, the seed gave you sword and armor right off the bat, which was absolutely amazing. And it was just a matter of finding fights to level up on, because you were a glass cannon early. That HP total was so low for so long. That was, I think, the biggest hurdle, at least for me.
It's funny. I think that was actually one of your strengths comparing you guys. You frequently actually had the experienced lead going through, so you were able to find the right encounters and defeat the right monsters. At one point, you had like a 600 or 700 point lead. Murashu did just round up the items faster, so he ended up grinding that golem. I think you did as well eventually, but he overtook the experience lead at that point when he was able to keep fighting the golems. But yeah, you were doing quite well with the experience. It's just that you kept dying. So it was hard for you to actually find those last few locations because you kept having to start over from the castle, unfortunately.
Yeah, just kind of kept getting pushed back out a little bit. Would push out, die, and just rinse and repeat. But I mean, all in all, I'm not too upset with this, considering I've been struggling to get under 2 hours in this flag set. So to finish my first tournament actual race at 1:54, I'm quite okay with that.
Yeah, congrats on that. Yeah, it was very, very nice run. You have something like 6 other ones now, right, for the remainder of your round robin. Anything that you're looking forward to? I don't know if you know any of these guys and you're looking forward to some kind of a match.
I'm looking forward to facing all of them. I've seen all of them around in the community, watching them in previous tournaments, and doing commentary on some of their matches when I've been in the booth. I'm looking forward to seeing how I stack up. My goal for the entire tournament was just to kind of, be in a respectable distance away from everybody. I had no doubts I'm not going to win a game, but you never know, and I'm just going to have fun with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how I stack up.
Very nice. Yeah, one of the beauties of the randomizer though is that there is a lot of variance, and maybe he never went back and looked for the sword and the armor, and you have that way faster than he does, you know. So it's anyone can win any race really, but yeah, I'm glad you're having fun with it. It's all about the fun here. Yeah, I was just waiting for the screen to pop up here. We have side by side. He has 12 deaths. You ended up with 27. I think that low HP was just really the challenge, right? It was when you did find the big monsters out there, like you just couldn't withstand the attacks. It took so long for you guys to get that HP up, and it seemed to affect you more than it affected him this time around. But
yeah, I need to practice my low HP strats, I guess. But I'm thinking, still learning, still only my second official tournament, so still trying to get the hang of it. I'll get there.
Nice. And well, you have several more races to be scheduled over the next 4 weeks, and we have more races tonight. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can think of anything else to ask you specifically. DK, what do you got?
No, you nailed the main points there. So I guess we'll, in an effort to let our crew in the background get a little leeway time to set up. Do either of the runners have any final thoughts on tonight's race or any upcoming races?
I just want to say thank you, DK and Up2NG for doing commentary, Kamion for doing the tracking, Mathgirl for restreaming, and Marashu, thank you for giving me a good first race. I know Marashu's been coming into my streams, watching me and helping, giving me pointers. So to get to play him in my first race was quite a treat. I'm very thankful for all that he's been helping me with to help learn.
Yeah, GG. It was a lot of fun doing this race against you. I'm looking forward to seeing just how much you'll improve even by the end of the group phase, because the best way to get better is to play, right? So, GG. I'm hoping that you have more HP in your coming races. Thanks to the entire crew for getting this going on. I know there's going to be lots of races coming up this month, so thank you very much for everyone who's going to be taking part in this.
Very nice, very nice. Well, congratulations to both of you. It was a really fun race to watch. A lot of dynamics with that low HP, but all that great equipment early on. So it was really fun to watch. Don't forget, everybody out there, stay right here. We're going to have another awesome race coming up, this time from the Druin group with Archfield Monk, who is our 9 seed coming out of the qualifiers, versus Kegalis. So that should be a fantastic matchup tonight. 9:30 right here. We'll have a little bit of downtime while our crew gets set up for that race there. But for our restreamer, Mouthgirl718, our tracker, Kamion Rinakai, and my broadcast partner tonight, Up2NG, I'm DK9146. Stay tuned for more DWR action. Have a good night.